We are coming to an end of spring training, which means this week we've got Phillies baseball happening. Thursday, opening day, Phillies hosting somebody else that we don't care about, the Braves. It's all happening this week. We are finally here. Welcome to PHLY Phillies podcast. Nice to have all of you here with us to kick off this baseball opening week for the Phillies.
Chat
Tyler
looks busy.
Zulli, Jamie Lynch, myself, Renee watching, and you guys are, look, the chat is booming right now. Happy to see all of you guys
spring
here.
Spring break for a lot of people, and the chat's humming.
Yeah. The first one in, of course, though, Chris Lummer defending that title first in the chat. Dave P. Although, Dave P., you're saying you were first, I think. Kim, happy Monday. Jay, nice to have you here. John Lemmerman, what's up? Welcome to the show. And Provolone John, everybody's here. Matthew H. All the important people are here, guys. All the important people are here. All right, we've got lots to talk about today as we're going through roster updates. We're going through who made the list and who did not make the list. Who's in, who's out, who's here, who's gone. Jake Cave, looking at you. We're also talking about just some other news going around Major League Baseball. Shohei Ohtani and Pache. We got to get into that and the latest there. Plus, if we have time, we'll be talking through, and we will have time. I'm manifesting it. Our top 3 ever relievers, talking bullpen arms that ever rocked a Phillies jersey. So happy Monday, guys. We made it to the start of the season. This is our week. This is the week. It's here.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I was just talking to an old friend that some people might see around this week, and he, may have asked me to pop on Thursday, and then I said, yeah. And right after that, we're gonna get on the subway, go down to the sports complex. Me and you and Tyler will be hanging out doing a pregame show, a watch-along party with Miller Lights flowing, and a post-game show from the Bet Park spot down in South Philly.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't wait. I've been thinking about Thursday morning all week. You wake up with that just like extra pep in your step. The bunting flag is going to be all over Citizens Bank Park, and you see the opening day spray painted on. And it's just, I really think that MLB opening day should be like a mandatory half-day holiday.
I would support
What's
that.
the problem with half-day holidays? We never do it.
Yeah, why isn't that a thing?
Yeah.
Like it should be, everybody's done early. It's crazy because I was
12
telling people about our opening day live shows that we're doing. You're talking about we'll be down at Bet Parks doing the watch party, the pregame show, the postgame show. And I was like, guys, come hang. And they're like, I have work. And I'm like, oh, so do I, but I'll be working at Bet Parks.
Yeah.
Like
a half-day holiday.
That should be
a
the
thing.
Games are earlier.
Yeah.
You should be done nice and early.
Like Thursday, Friday last week, MLB opening day. Those are perfect half-day holidays.
It's a missed opportunity.
Pencils down at 1:00 for everybody.
Pencils down? That was triggering as I heard that. Takes me
Pencils
back.
down.
Also on Thursday, I know you guys are talking about in the chat. Yes, Anthony Gargano is getting started. Cuz is back. We've got the Gargano show, which is launching on Thursday morning. If you haven't seen the announcement officially on social media, we've got you covered. And that's getting started at 9 a.m. So Thursday's a terrific day. It's going to be a fantastic Thursday.
Cousin baseball back on the same day.
Oh my gosh. Like what's happening here? The city's going to explode. So Randy, Dark Pooh's back, Tim Williamson. Listen, everyone is here. Like I said, K-Red, all the great people are here. And I know you guys are already talking about a lot of different things in the chat. I see you're talking about holidays. Oh, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are half-day holidays. That's valid. You're talking about the start of the season. I see Jumpin'. Shout out, nice little Destiny's Child plug there. Well, let's get plugging away on the roster because as we wrapped up last week, we, of course, were asking questions. Who's going to get that last spot? Who will it be? What's going to happen with Johan Rojas? Do the Phillies have faith? We believe that they did, and they locked him in, and much more. And so this past weekend, as we knew, because with today being the day that the team flies back, there was the expectation. A lot of moves were going to be locked in and made before today, and they were. The first one that I want to hit on is so long, farewell. Jay Cave is out of here. He's gone to Colorado, and we don't see him near. Jay Cave is gone, Jamie. Did you celebrate? What was your reaction?
No, because Jay Cave's fine. Like if he's like on your bench, like as your last piece, it's okay. Like he's fine. He's serviceable. He's got some versatility. I just didn't want him to be their best left-handed bench bat. And according to some reports out there, Dave's not done shopping for that piece. I don't know if it's John Sequella. Somebody's always been saying, whether it's in the Discord or the chat here, I don't believe the 26th man is in Clearwater. It's looking like John, if that's who it was, is right. And I think Destiny LaGuardo and maybe Bob Nightingale had the rumor on Sunday that the Phillies are looking for another left-handed bat. So they clearly thought, you could upgrade the Cave position. Clemens gets optioned down to Lehigh, which makes sense because he has options. I think if you were just doing it on play, Clemens probably earned that spot. But I think the Phillies know, like, hey, we're in championship win now mode, and we can probably do a little better than Cody Clemens. So it'll be interesting to see who it is, but it does appear that Cristian Pache is pretty safe.
Yeah,
I guess he's making the team.
So there's a couple things I liked about this move. It's one, you get cash considerations in this trade. Woo! So you don't let him go for nothing. You get some money. I'll take the money and run. And then also, to me, it shows the Phillies are a little bit more proactive than we may think. Like instead of just leaving it up to chance, we're going to trade him. We're going to get some money back. We're going to make these small moves around the edges. And with that, as you talk about Cody Clemens, for example, okay, you still have the option. He's still there. You keep Cody Clemens, even though he's moved down and was optioned in that sense. You're making these moves that allow for these small decisions that hopefully will go a long way versus just kind of like leaving it up to chance. So I felt like it was a great moment because also, as we've talked about the lefty-righty thing, that's been the biggest thing that has saved Jake Cave. And instead, it feels like the message is, nope, you're not good enough. That's not enough to keep you here. Yes, you've got versatility. Yes, you're left-handed, but that's not enough. We're going to move on from you. We're going to try somebody different. And honestly, as much as we've been talking about the Phillies, kind of being slow and sleeping this offseason, that was kind of that moment where I felt like, oh, they get it. This year is a different year for them. It's going to be exciting. So as you mentioned, lots of with the moves, the small moves that we've seen. We also have on the other side of that, Cristian Pache, Johan Rojas gets the opportunity. Listen, carrying both Yoro and Cristian opening day roster, I like it. I definitely feel like for Johan Rojas, his defensive side overall as a Gold Glove caliber center fielder, you don't want to lose him. You don't want to discourage him. You got to build his confidence. He has a bigger upside on the defensive side, and to give him that start from the beginning. I know Rob's talked about it and had some really good quotes about Johan, and just the overall mentality that they had going into wanting to keep him is just understanding he's got talent. We don't want him to get buried. We don't want him to get lost in the sauce. And now we have him discouraged if we have him starting off, AAA versus starting on the opening day roster.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure to a degree they weighted it like, all right, is Cristian Pache have more of a chance of getting picked up off waivers than Cave? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he probably does because he's only 25 years old. Cave is just kind of that journeyman. And then they went, all right, well, if that's our decision, let's go grab some cash for Cave. Right. Let's not just throw him out there. So who knows what they got back? I think Cave had like 1.1 guaranteed to him because of his time of service and all that. So, they probably just recouped a little bit of that, and it's smart business. I mean, you can do better than Jake Cave. We'll see who out there, our old friend Bamboo Brad Miller is available as Tyler shakes his head at me. But there's going to be some lefties that pop up out there. Maybe a surprise one or two, or maybe it is a trade. You know, maybe they just flip that cash in a trade and go get somebody a little better than Jake Cave. So I don't hate Jake Cave. I just didn't want Cristian Pache not to make the team because of Jake Cave. So I'm happy. I'm at peace.
I think my issue with Jake Cave was, look at you. Starting the week off at peace. I think my issue with Cave was more, if we had to choose between who to lose, I'd rather lose Jake Cave, especially since we've seen enough from him, in my opinion. Let's see as we talked about before, even last week, the progression that Cristian Pache has made since joining the Phillies. Let's give him a shot, see what he can do. And these are bottom pieces we're talking about, bottom of the batting order. And so for each of them, see what they can do when you instill that confidence in them. You give them the chance in the opening day roster. And if they aren't stepping up and performing well, then you can always go a different direction. But if you had to choose between the two, we've seen enough from Jake Cave. I was fine with moving on from him and happy that was the decision. So with that, we also have been getting the other nuts and bolts and details around, how the Phillies are going to be rolling out the start of the season, what we're going to be looking like. One thing that we do know is Matt Strahm. This was exciting. I feel like I like Matt Strahm.
I like Matt Strahm.
I like him. He's solid. He's steady. He seems like a great guy. Knows his role, fits in well. Got that versatility. We've seen him in multiple roles. As a pitching arm. He can start and be a reliever. Exactly.
Can probably spot close if you need to.
So
he's very versatile.
Extension for $7.5 million in 2025. The 2026 club option is for I don't like to say this number, $4.5 million, because that number today.
Ohtani trigger.
Yeah, $4.5 million.
Legally, like, no, not 4.5. No.
Somewhere he just jumped in wherever he's hiding. $4.5 million. And then he does have a vesting option at $7.5 million with 60 innings in 25. So I like that he was another deal. What I always enjoy these are the little things that go a long way. And I know it was talked about when Zach Wheeler's extension happened. This is how you show your guys you care, you value them, their worth. Because here we are before opening day, Matt Strahm's extension is also done. And now he can go into the season. And like he was talking about, you saw him getting interviewed and he's all happy and smiling. Now he doesn't have to worry about that. He knows where his future is. He knows where he's going to be. He knows what the team, how the team believes in him and how they want to bring him back and keep him. And at 32 years old, you don't want to be caught in that gray area of like, what are we? Where do we stand? What's our future? You want to know where you're locked in at. So I love the fact that the extension happened before opening day. Matt Strahm now can go into the season feeling good. Last year, solid season for him because we just saw him moved around. But if he can now be consistently in a role versus having to flex back and forth between being a starter and a reliever, and now you have knowing that you're going to get an extension, you've got the extension. I'm happy for Matt Strahm.
Yeah, I think this is part of this front office and new business model. Not that they've never given extensions before. We all remember Scott Kingery. I'm not going to bring that up. But recently, Dombrowski and Fold and your boy Preston have shown, they don't want these guys to get to open markets. If they know what they got and it's, something they want and believe in. Strahm, Wheeler, Alvarado, Sir Anthony, all have signed some form of, whether it's a club option, player option, some kind of extension has been used on all those guys. So it's a really good thing, and I think that helps breed the culture when you know that, as you said, like the team is looking out for you. Yeah. It's like, all right, injuries can happen, but you don't have to worry about going to free agency next year. We got you, and here's a fair market value deal. We'd love to have you here. And that goes a long way, that builds the culture. So hat tip to the Phillies front office again for,
I love it.
There's really not going to be many guys next year that are free agents. I've seen the list. Strahm was one of the few remaining ones. There's really you thought this offseason was boring.
I know.
Wait till next offseason. It's going to be crickets.
It'll be exciting after a nice, strong postseason. We'll have a great
offseason. Hopefully after the World Series parade.
Manifest that. Oh, yeah. But yeah, Strahm returns after last year with a 9.5 record, 3.29 ERA. He also posted a 30.8% strikeout rate, the highest since 2016. 5.42 strikeout to walk ratio. Love this. Lock him in, lock up and loaded. We will get into talking about the bullpen.
He's a big card head. Maybe he goes to Wheelhouse Cards.
Oh, I could totally see that.
And it's pretty cool. I always like when the players kind of like get into cards and like sign stuff for, sign memorabilia for one another. And they're always doing like swaps and card swaps. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. I love in the chat you guys are talking about. Darth Poyer saying, Dave wants guys to want Philly. That's a great point. Chris, you're mentioning we need players like him to bridge the gap in a high pressure situation. Yeah, these are those minor pieces like that are so important around when they talk about around the edges. These are the types of players that are the role players that you can depend on. You know what they're going to give. They can give you that consistency. They can give you that stability. And you don't have to worry about, what they're going to bring to the table. So it's exciting to see that these small moves that were made this past weekend should go a long way, especially Matt Strahm. And Tyler, I know you've got some nuggets on Strahm.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty...
Tyler's a Strahm guy. I think it's because you guys have similar body types, and you're both lefties,
that's
right?
Notwithstanding, but
I think
Wait,
he sees
what?
it. I think if Tyler saw himself as a major league bullpen arm, it would be like Matt Strahm.
Listen,
is that fair?
Listen, if I threw 93 and had a wipeout slider, I wouldn't be here right now. I would be Matt
That's where you're
Strahm.
going with it.
I think you see yourself in Matt Strahm.
But I will say this. I am a big Matt Strahm fan because I appreciate the fact that I trust Matt Strahm in high leverage situations. And you guys know how big of a high leverage versus like setup closer type of guy that I am. It's really about, getting the important outs when you need it. And he's a high leverage lefty. And I think it really comes down to one thing, guys. Last year was the first year that he really heavily featured his slider. And up until last year, he had only thrown it a handful of times in games. And last year, he threw it 334 times. It had a 33% whiff rate, a 33% K rate. It had a 9-run value, and opponents hit 151 against it. I think that obviously guys are going to adjust to it now that they've had a full season to see it.
$7.5 million is a very good deal for those type of numbers.
I think it's a really good deal to get a high leverage and a lefty that you can throw in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. It's somebody that you can trust. You saw it in the in Game 4, the closeout situation against the Braves in the NLDS. They had already used Alvarado. They had already used Hoffman. Who do you bring in to shut the door? It's Matt Strahm, because you know that slider is going to play, especially against left-handed hitters when it's running away from them. To use that pitch 25% of the time and to have the success rate that he does, he is somebody that you can trust in high leverage situations against both sides of the plate, because you can throw that slider back foot against righties and have a lot of success with it, and you can throw it trailing away to lefties and have a lot of success with it. So I think, obviously, again, a year's worth of tape and of value to see what the slider is, but you want to call it a slider, you want to call it a sweeper, whatever terminology you want to deem it, it's probably become his best pitch at this point.
And I know in the chat, Hypothetical Man saying he is a Swiss Army knife and a good guy to keep in the pen. And as you're mentioning, Tyler, he's adding more to his arsenal, continuing to progress, continuing to get better. And now it'll be great to see what he's like with a full season with the Phillies, having had a full spring training and a full off season of really like lock into being in Philly and what that means to him and what his future looks like. But it's great when you don't have to worry about some of these small, these guys around the edges. You have versatility has been such a big addition this offseason so far. That's been a major change that's gone such a long way. But you know what else can be a major change that goes a long way, guys? That's how you consume some delicious soda. Because Olipop, the world's first functional soda, has a classic soda taste with the benefits of plant-based fiber, prebiotics, and other botanical ingredients to help support gut health. We love gut health, right? We want to make sure that we're eating right, we're supporting our body, our digestive system. And with Olipop, they also provide you with only 2 to 5 grams of sugar, 9 grams of fiber per can, and a variety of delicious flavors. Olipop is available online, available also in almost 30,000 retailers nationwide, including most recently the launch in Wawa. We love Wawa. Wawa gives you everything. Honestly, I always fight people about Wawa versus like Sheetz and other places. But when you go to Wawa now, you can buy Olipop as well. They have debuted in Wawa. It's a match made in heaven because Olipop, with their healthy drinks at the convenience of a place like Wawa, they've got classic root beer. They've got strawberry vanilla. We've had a chance around the office here to try all the different flavors of Olipop. Not only do you see them on your screen here, look at them right there in the background over my shoulder. For those of you watching, Olipop in our adorable Olipop fridge. So cute, right?
You see that?
And Jamie's got pictures of Olipop.
I was at Whole Foods and they had the Olipop.
You can find Olipop in so many different places. And Olipop, not only do they help with digestive issues, because if you guys didn't know this, 2 out of 3 Americans deal with digestive issues. 95% of Americans are not getting the daily recommended amount of fiber. And with Olipop, they're tackling those issues and making it a lot easier for you to get the fiber that you need, drink healthy, and drink delicious with that prebiotic fiber that they provide in their Olipop. So head on over to check out Olipop. They've got so many flavors. As I mentioned, some already, but also vintage cola, classic root beer, orange squeeze, classic grape. I mentioned strawberry vanilla, cream soda, cherry cola. Make sure I don't forget any of the goodies. And some others like a lemon lime flavor. So over at Olipop today, when you use the code PHLY20, you get 20% off of your next Olipop order. The discount only applies to one-time orders, not to any subscriptions, of course. But Olipop, which is sold online at drinkolipop.com, on Amazon. It's available in, as I mentioned, 30,000 stores, including Wawa, Target, Sprouts, Wegmans, ShopRite, and GoPuff. Use that code PHLY20 to get 20% off and enjoy your Olipop order.
Yeah, you're seeing it everywhere now, and Olipop's going to be here to stay in the Philadelphia market, that's for sure. I had some friends over the house yesterday, and one of them said, "Hey, Jamie, I'm starting to look for a place in your general area."
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, dude, you got to talk to Alec and Ben over at Mortgage CS." I was like, I've already referred these guys to family members, so why not some friends as well? Mortgage CS is a great local mortgage company. It stands for Mortgage Concierge Service, and they give you a white glove service. They're an independent mortgage broker based right here in Philadelphia. So what does that mean? Well, it gives them full control over the lenders they work with. And these guys are the best kind of workaholics. They're going to be available 24/7. And if you've gone through the home buying and selling process before, you know you want somebody in your corner that is available at the drop of a dime 24 hours a day. And it's not just Pennsylvania they work in. They work in Maryland, New Jersey, Florida, Delaware, California, Colorado, up and down and all over the place. So check these guys out. You don't have to be in Pennsylvania. But it's a great service. And the spring purchase market is heating up quickly. Many clients, especially my buddy I was talking to yesterday, are reaching out and they say, you want to talk to them now so you're ready to go when the house that you want and deserve pops up. You want to be ready to go. Your ducks all in a row, your credit already run with. So even if you're not buying a house like this week, maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year from now, you should talk to Alec and Ben, and they'll help you get set up so that you can obtain ultra competitive rates. And they're also going to educate and empower you so you don't feel like you're drowning underwater during the process. They're right there for you. They're awesome. I'd recommend them to everyone. I do recommend them to friends and family, even away from the air. So when you think of mortgage CS and think of Alec and Ben. Ben's phone number is right there for you YouTube viewers. But for you podcast listeners, it's 267-391-7425. That's 267-391-7425. Email Ben at ben@mortgagecs.com. You can literally call or text him at any time of the day, even if you just want to catch up and talk about sports. Check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to get started. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com for more information.
All right. Well, just want to give the shout out, Seth, Dan. I know, Dan, you're talking about Olipop is a very good mixer. It definitely is.
Yes.
Great mixer. And then also, Kim, I'm sorry there's not a Wawa near you. I will sacrifice. I will go to Wawa since you can't. And, I'll help you out. I'll go for you in your place. But with that, let's talk about who else is taking somebody's place because he's injured. Today's takeaways are presented by Factor. You can use code Phillies50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and free wellness shots for life with any active subscription at factormeals.com/Phillies50. Because today's takeaways are talking about injuries, and we're talking through some other roster moves that have been made. Let's start with Mr. Taijuan Walker. Actually, no. Let's start easy. Bryce Harper's back. We love this. We talked about it a little bit last week, the timeline of him working back. Great to see Bryce Harper was able to take, get some at-bats in the backfield this weekend. He also got to, hit an opposite field home run.
As Tom McCarthy would say, an oppo boppo.
He hit an
Actually,
oppo
he
boppo.
dropped that. That was early Tom McCarthy days.
Happy to see he was happy with his velocity. He is hoping to be able to, he's good to go. Bryce is back. Check. But someone that's not back and in the crowd, in the chat, try not to be too upset about this because I know you guys just get frustrated with this man.
He's a very important role on his team.
He is a very important role.
Everybody
but I know
casts
in
him
the chat,
aside
you
like
guys
he's not important.
Cannot stand Taijuan Walker, and you're probably not sad about this news either. But Taijuan Walker is dealing with a right shoulder injury. And he's got inflammation in his right shoulder. Of course, we already knew he had the knee soreness earlier in spring training. He had personal issues. And now the third issue, the inflammation in his right shoulder. He will begin the season on IL. And because of that, Spencer Turnbull gets the call up. He's going to be the fifth starter. That also has opened up some bullpen jobs For others, Luis Ortiz, Junior Marte, Connor Brogdon, because
Connor Brogdon. Oh, a super chat. We'll get to that in one second.
So
Connor Brogdon, like what?
It is.
I know it's because Orion's down and Taijuan's down. Like that's the only reason.
Spencer
But like
Turnbull gets the call up.
Yeah, Spencer Turnbull. It looks like he's going to start next Wednesday, the 3rd of April. They're going to get Zach Wheeler on regular rest going around, so he'll pitch next Tuesday. So the lineup kind of looks like this. So you have Wheeler on Thursday, Nola Saturday, Ranger Sunday, Sanchez Monday, Wheeler on Tuesday, and then Spencer Turnbull is going to get his shot.
Yeah.
He looked pretty good in his last appearance in spring. There is one final game today. But, you know, Spencer Turnbull, I think they're hoping I think the ideal goal is to have Mick Abel up in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
That's up to Mick Abel. Spencer Turnbull, you know, is a good placeholder. He was a good gamble. It was much like kind of Cristian Pache, a highly touted prospect that struggled at times a little bit. You bring him in for absolutely nothing and help you can grow him in your system. So Spencer Turnbull now all of a sudden is thrust into a first month of the year, pretty big role here with no Taijuan.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, I know I was reading earlier this weekend a piece that Todd Zalecki put out about the different prospects. Mick Abel, of course, being one of them, who's been impressive. And, you know, when you look at his first 2 Grapefruit League appearances, striking out 4 in 2 2/3 perfect innings. He's been pitching so well, so consistently. And, you know, the timeline is on par for him to be able to step in, especially injuries happen, things happen, that Mick Abel might be ready for that call-up. But for now, it's Spencer Turnbull that's getting the call-up. Now, our super chat by Play-by-Play with JJ. Shout out to Play-by-Play with JJ.
What
we
up,
appreciate
JJ?
you. You're saying you love the show. Thank you so much. We love that you're here. And also, let's go get Montgomery. I know Play-by-Play with JJ. This has been something that many people have brought up on several times because with Taijuan Walker already struggling, of course, his timeline's been behind. And we all understand that in baseball, your schedule, your routine is so important. And for Taijuan to be dealing with knee soreness and be behind on his timeline, that already kind of put him at a disadvantage on top of the fact that, you know, he struggled.
I'd rather him have an injury with throwing 89 miles an hour than just him losing his velocity. It has led
a lot of people to say if Taijuan is injured, instead of a Spencer Turnbull, for example, why not go get Montgomery? And I know it's been brought up, and Jordan Montgomery is still out there looking.
I'd be surprised. I'd be flat out shocked if they got him. I think Mick Abel is very much like their plan. If Taijuan Walker, you know, isn't the same this year, I think they'll 6th starter meal piece it. You know, we saw Matt Strahm, a guy we talked about last year, start a bunch of games.
Right.
So I think Spencer Turnbull, Strahm, maybe Covey when he's off the injured list, you know, stuff like that is going to be kind of piecemealed together. And then we'll see. I mean, I think bullpen is the easiest thing to add at the trade deadline. Most contenders do it. But I have a feeling they're counting on Mick Abel to, you know, make a second half of the season appearance for them and contribute.
Yeah.
That's why I think they're out on it. Like, because Jordan, like Ranger and Sanchez, there's a lot on Sanchez this year.
Yes.
He's kind of getting counted on in a big role. And I think a lot of people really like Sanchez and think he's ready for it. We'll see. I think Mick Abel is their plan.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I do think this is why when you look at the Matt Strahm extension, the way that Mick Abel's been progressing, even bringing in Spencer Turnbull in the offseason, we remember that move happening. And it was one of those quieter moves when Spencer came in, coming in as someone that's been a starter, having played with the Tigers. He didn't have a great season last year in 7 games. He was 1-4 with a 7.26 ERA, but also was coming back from Tommy John surgery. And I think he's one of those small, with that 1-year deal that they signed there's no risk. Exactly. You know, you bring him in for $2 million in 2024 with $2 million in incentives with the expectation to see, can we get him at a good point to just be someone that can fill where we're needed, add some depth in case of an injury like Taijuan's, for example. But as you mentioned, with Ranger and Christopher playing so well, it does help. The top 4 are so solid right now in starting pitching that you can have, all right, piecemeal it. Spencer Turnbull, Mick Abel, whoever it is that fits in that next spot. But I know, to your point, play-by-play with JJ, there's a lot of people that, similarly to you, are wanting just simplify the process, bring in Jordan Montgomery. That alleviates any question marks.
I mean, I'm not going to complain if they do it.
If they did it, I'd be very happy. We'd
I
have
just
an
don't think
emergency
they're going
pod.
to.
We'd be talking about it. But I know in the chat also various responses. Darth Pooh was saying, Walker does have talent. He just really isn't ever serviceable to make him meaningful. John Lemmerman, you're mentioning that he's also serviceable. Everyone's using the word serviceable. I love it. But that you certainly wish they didn't do the deal with Walker. Yeah, his deal is tough. That is tough. But and then Dave, you're mentioning that Walker was on the precipice of disaster half the time. So I know there's a lot of people on both sides of the feelings for Taijuan Walker. But what we do know is he's out for a little while. He's dealing with that inflammation in his right shoulder, and Spencer Turnbull gets the call up. Also, Orion Kirkering, who's been working back, as we know, dealing with that illness. He's been working himself back. Orion is not going to be ready, come opening day, but he's actually, the timeline is about April 9th that they're expecting he's going to be eligible to return. So he's going to pitch some minor league games in Florida.
What flu was this?
Then a little at AAA. It's quite a flu that knocked him out for a month.
Yeah. I mean,
what are you thinking?
I mean...
That's
not
like a
much
serious
other
case
than
of the flu.
To knock you off your routine by 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to I just hope he's all right. A 5-week flu is. I mean that just doesn't pass the sniff test a little bit for me. I just hope he's not more injured or. Something like a respiratory infection or something that we don't know about that's actually worse, because, I mean, he was sick the week prior to us being there.
I know. It's been, it was 3 weeks, and we saw him already down there.
Because he's a huge role on this team.
Yeah.
They literally didn't, we can get into the rankings of the Phillies in a second, the bullpen, but they didn't replace Kimbrel. They basically just gave Orion... more or less that chance at 65, 75 innings to be that righty, high leverage guy. So, hopefully he's fine, and hopefully it's not something more than just a flu.
It's
I don't know. When I see him out for 5 weeks, I'm just like, what the hell? I know he's back throwing and stuff. But he's not ready for opening day.
I know.
All right.
It's frustrating because, listen, the flu can wipe you out. And I know, we talked about how it was kind of going through camp. People were getting sick, but 3-4 weeks, and now you're not supposed to be able to go until April 9th. And as you mentioned, the amount of pressure and expectation on Orion this year, it's huge. He is supposed to be the guy that's, eating a lot of innings. And so far, he's not ready to go. But when you look across Marte and Ortiz and Brogdon, and that's what the now the group is. But then, of course, on the front side of that, Alvarado, Dominguez, Hoffman, Soto, Strahm. That is why when reports came out by Major League Baseball, their tweet came out, I should say, and as they were talking about the top bullpens for 2024, top 10 bullpen for 2024, number one spot, the Philadelphia Phillies, with a great picture of Jose cheering on the shot. Because as much as we may even talk about, wait a minute, without Craig Kimbrel, there's a lot of innings up. Is Orion ready? This, that, and the third. At the end of the day, when you look at this bullpen compared to others across the league, there's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of high expectation. You got a mixture of veterans with some youth, with some of those tweener guys that are, maybe like a Brogdon or Marte that are kind of still figuring things out. I think it's a nice balance across the bullpen. So the Phillies ranked number one for top bullpens heading into 2024, guys.
I hate it, because how often is the team that's listed preseason the best, actually the best? 8% of the time?
It's like a kiss of death.
Yeah, I saw that and I just went, ugh. I know they're better than most people think they are, but I don't know, to be the top bullpen in baseball by Major League, I don't know. I hate it. That's just the pessimist in me.
Yeah, I get that though. It is tough. I don't like preseason rankings and stuff for that exact reason.
I don't want to be the
never
best.
pan out ever. I'd rather be the
I'd
underdog
rather be
that surprises people.
Fourth.
Yeah, in the mix, but surprise people and be better versus you be number one and you actually end up being worse. So also on that list, the Braves number 2, Pirates at 3, Houston Astros 4, the Rays, Dodgers, Cardinals 5, 6, 7, Brewers and Twins 8, 9, and then tied for 10, the Blue Jays and the Cubs. to round out what Major League Baseball is thinking is going to be the top of the top in bullpens for 2024. So I know rankings in preseason are such a weird thing. We will be giving our rankings, not today though, another day that we'll be getting into our very own rankings here on the show. But yeah, shout out to all of you guys in the chat. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. I know you're still talking about the flu, the stomach bug. Yeah, there's a lot that's been going around. It's definitely been crazy. It's been wild to think about injuries, illnesses, but most importantly, even Trey Turner, there was a little twinge there, but he's going to be fine for opening day. You know, this is the time, kind of that longevity of spring training wears on you. You've been gearing up for opening day for so long, and you're finally ready to get started. You're finally ready to, you know, get into some meaningful baseball and start playing and get into everything versus, you know, just talking about opening day.
Yeah, I'm sure the players were ready to get out of there like a week ago. They'll miss the weather, but that's probably about it. I'm sure they're all very much looking forward to get to their houses and get settled for the season because it is a grind. So yeah, it's really nice to know that the Phillies are probably flying home tonight or tomorrow morning, whatever it may be, and we get real meaneful baseball on Thursday.
I know, and you know what also makes you think of cracking open a nice cold,
delicious
Miller Lite.
I did it yesterday. I had some friends and family over in the backyard, and I said, guys, there's Miller Lights in the fridge. Help yourself, because there's not much better when you got friends and family around enjoying a nice, cold, delicious light beer. And it's the original light beer, and to this day, it's still the best one. A lot has changed over the years, but the great taste of Miller Lite has not. Miller Lite has more of the taste you want, and, you know, they get rid of all that crap you don't need. You know, it's springtime, it's baseball, the sun is shining, the weather's getting better, we're outside more and more, and Miller Lite just hits on a nice sunny day. Even a rainy day, it still hits nice. But it's what you look for in a light beer. The great taste, and Miller Lite always delivers because they keep it simple. Undebatable quality, great taste, and the best part, only 96 calories. And this Thursday during our pregame watch party and postgame show, we'll have some Miller Lite specials for you. It's going to be a great day, so hopefully you can join us down in South Philadelphia because it's the beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like a beer should. Less filling and only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. And times change, but you can always enjoy the great taste of Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, go to MillerLite.com/PHLY or you can just pretty much find it anywhere that beer is sold. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces.
Yes. Well, I did have some Miller Lights myself in Clearwater because why not enjoy a nice cold Miller Lite while watching the game? I know, Christy, I'm sorry you're mentioning, and happy Monday. Nice to have you here. Dave Dorr, different people. Christy, you're mentioning it's, you know, your job is getting in the way of your podcast consumption. And I am so sorry to hear that. What
rude,
I will
Christy.
say,
Rude
it's so
of your
rude of
job.
them. It's very disrespectful. Like, don't they know that you got to come hang with us?
It's opening week.
What I will say, though, as it is opening
Damn it,
week,
Christy's
you
job.
do have a chance to celebrate.
Damn it. It's opening week. Leave her alone.
Let her be great.
Let her live her
let her
baseball
celebrate
life.
one of the best holidays of the year with us because we've got for Phillies opening day, as we keep talking about. It's almost here, guys. We are going to be having some fun this week. Not only are you guys going to be able to join us live, we have our watch party, our pregame show, and our postgame show live down at Bet Parks in South Philly, all happening on Thursday, where you can join us for some fun, some Miller Lite giveaways, and much more. But also, we're giving away tickets to Saturday's game, where you guys will be able to go cheer on the Phillies as they take on the Braves. We've got some tickets that we're giving away.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. And also, we're giving away tickets for more games, including one in early June.
Ooh.
So we've got some ticket giveaways for you, or maybe you can't join us live every day on the podcast, which you can always listen back afterwards. But you can also watch the Phillies live in person at Citizens Bank Park. So we've got some giveaways coming up soon. We've got our live shows coming up as well. You can check those out. For the Sixers, they also have, courtesy of our friends at Coors Light, they're hosting some watch parties themselves where you can tune in and have some fun. They'll be down at Deke's Barbecue, where they'll be able to hang out with you guys as the Sixers take on the Cavs. And also a chance, they've got some raffles for tickets as well. We're like Oprah out here. You get tickets, you get tickets, you get Miller Lite, you get Miller Lite. We're just giving away a lot of things here. So you can check out all of our upcoming events at allphly.com under the events calendar to RSVP. You do have to RSVP to sign up to be able to participate. Even though the events are free, we still need your RSVP. And you can, of course, whenever you are available, chat with us in the Discord. As you become a diehard member, you get a chance to join in the events, join in our Discord with the conversations we're having on everything, sports, movies, music, lots of conversations happening there. You also get a free shirt when you become a member. Plus, of course, in addition to our written content and shows, we're just trying to give you guys so many great things. And Cuz is back, as we talked about. His show's launching, The Gargano Show, Thursday morning. So lots of great things here. We are just getting started here at PHLY, and much more to come that you guys can look forward to, that you don't even have to worry about the frustration of not being able to get out of your job, because we've got something all around the clock for you. All right, guys. I hate to do this because I know we're on a positive note here, and I don't want to shift, but we need to shift. So today is the day that we're supposed to hear from Shohei Ohtani himself. He's been quiet. He hasn't spoken up. We've all been on Ohtani watch.
He's back from Korea.
We've all been on Ohtani watch because it's been a lot. There's a lot of information. There's some things that are coming out that I don't know the full legitimacy of. Different allegations about, Ohtani possibly fixing games and things. I don't know the details. I can't speak on all of that. But what I can say is it feels like we're in some quicksand here. And the more we learn, the deeper we sink. And so there's a lot that's going on in these allegations that are surrounding Shohei Ohtani. And so he is going, I don't know the exact timing. Of course, his time zone's a little different, so I don't imagine it's happening right now, but who knows? Shohei Ohtani will be speaking to the media publicly and weighing in on what's going on. Now, it's been a lot to process. And I feel like even as Dave Roberts himself was saying, he's like, I'm happy that he's going to speak because he's going to speak to what he knows. He's going to speak to be able to give his thoughts on the whole situation, and it'll give us a little bit more clarity. Dave was telling reporters that just yesterday. I agree with you, Dave Roberts. I agree. We need some clarity. So Will Ireton, who is a Dodgers employee, is going to be serving as Ohtani's interpreter because, as we know, his previous interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, has been fired and let go. But now we're getting more about Mizuhara that's come out since even us discussing it on the show last. And now Mizuhara, who allegedly was an interpreter in the past before Ohtani, that's been deemed possibly not true. So there were multiple. So on his resume, here's I'm trying to work through this here. On his resume as an interpreter, it was reported that Mizuhara had attended some schools. He had been an interpreter in the past, and now all of a sudden, all of that is false news. None of that is real. There's been some lies in there.
He's Kaiser Soze?
He's basically been coming out. So UC Riverside is the school that he was connected to, and a spokesperson came out from UC Riverside and said there have been no records that show he was a student and that he attended the school at all, let alone graduated from this. And so they asked the school if he maybe attended under a different name. Nope, that's not true. Then there was the discussion about him working with another baseball player, Okajima, who he was an interpreter for with the Yankees back in the early 2000s, 2010. And then he alleged that he had went and been an interpreter with Okajima with the Red Sox, but the Red Sox claimed that never happened either. They reached out and said, listen, that's incorrect. Mizuhara was never employed by the Boston Red Sox in any capacity. He was not an interpreter for Hideki Okajima, whose name I apologize if I said that incorrectly, during the pitcher's time with the team. And then he did actually work with the Yankees as an interpreter before Okajima was sent to the minors in 2012. So the point is,
this story
now
stinks.
the story is giving me ID channel. Possibly it could teeter on some soft Lifetime, but it's definitely giving me a little
Oh, you think it's Lifetime capability?
I think it'd be like a soft Lifetime movie. They wouldn't have all these details in there. They'd make it a little bit more predictable. But it's definitely giving ID channel for sure, or some weird Netflix documentary.
Yeah,
is what we're getting right now.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to say anything of substance today. I am not going to believe anything I hear on this story until facts are presented. And the facts right now are his name is on 2 $500,000 wire transfers to an illegal bookmaker in California. I want to see how he wiggles out of this one. I'd be shocked if he gets out of this without I would say, decent suspension. I don't know how you can cover this one up if you're Major League Baseball. This story stinks.
Yeah. Law and Order is a good one, actually, Provolone and John. This could be a Law and Order episode. But Law and Order is usually more like murder and stuff.
Yeah, well, it depends on which Law and Order you're watching.
This is true. The thing is, it feels like it does feel like we're watching a movie unfold, because every time you feel like you have a grasp on what's going on, there's more things. Like the fact that Mizuhara never even attended UC Riverside and claims he went to UC Riverside.
Yeah, like what is that
what?
about? Yeah.
And it's like, this is stuff that's on his resume as an interpreter. Like, he's been actively promoting himself as like, I graduated from UC Riverside. I was the interpreter for Okajima back with the Red Sox. Lies.
He's George O'Leary lying about his resume.
Weird.
That's a real bust out college football reference.
Yeah, and he's been the right-hand man for Ohtani for over a decade now. And so I know in the chat you guys are saying, like, how do you know somebody for so long? But then you have, like Kim, you're mentioning, but then they quote unquote steal $4.5 million. Like, it's just,
well, we've seen the video of them in the dugout the day he found out he stole from him. Like, come on. The guy went to the team right after the game, and in like the 7th inning, there's Ohtani and Ippei, like, you know, chumming it up, buddy in the dugout. I'm not really chumming it up with somebody after they stole $4.5 million from me. So this whole story is very unbelievable. It'll be interesting to see what they say today, but I'm not expecting anything of substance. But that federal investigation, I'll be paying attention to.
Yeah, now that's where things really get serious, because as much as everybody's wondered, oh, what's Major League Baseball going to do about this? What's the Feds going to do about this? Like, this is much bigger.
This might be bigger than baseball.
This is way bigger than sports, because if there's some, and I know, Dan, you're mentioning, you know, he could have some serious legal issues. You know, Major League Baseball aside, suspension aside, yeah, agreed. There's a lot bigger here that is happening when you involve an illegal bookie and finance. It's messy. So yeah, we will continue to see. I don't think he's going to say anything of substance at all today. He's just going to speak just because he hasn't spoken in a while. Jim, you're mentioning, does he even know Japanese? Who knows? We don't know. Is his name even Ippei Mizuhara? We don't know. I mean, there's a lot now you just can't trust. It's definitely not passing the sniff test. A lot of things going on here that don't really sit well. So we'll continue finding out. I know Darth Prue, you're like, who snitched? We'll find out those details as we get them and keep you guys up to date on what's going on. All right. With that being said, though, as we are nearing the end of the hour already, because time flies when you're having fun, right? We have been working through our depth chart here on the show. For those of you guys that maybe missed in the past, go check it out on YouTube on our past episodes, because we've been going position by position, sharing our top 3 players for each respective position. And we're actually nearing the end. We're going to build out our full depth chart of the best all-time Phillies lineup. We are only factoring in their time with the Phillies, so not their full career, just their time with the Phillies, which has drastically changed some things. And so that being said, today we're going, and it's fitting as we talk about the Phillies having the top bullpen in the league, that we're going with closers, because there's been some historic, iconic guys that have rocked the Phillies jersey that have been relievers in the past. So there have been a lot of honorable mentions, and I won't spoil who they are yet, because that'll take away from our top 3. But there are a lot of honorable mentions that are close, but factoring in their years, championships, stats and things like that, they just missed the mark on meeting our top 3.
When you're the losingest franchise in the existence of sports in North America, guess what? Winning a title gets weighted pretty heavily. I'll just say that.
Okay,
and I think it's fair. The Phillies have been around forever and don't win the title very often. Closers, as we know in postseason baseball, or high leverage guys, and if you want to call it in modern baseball, they're very important come playoff time. So I think that speaks a lot for our top 3.
The one thing, too, that we have to kind of keep in mind is, like, up until probably the early to mid 80s, the closer role was not a definable role as it is today. You had guys at the back end of the bullpen that you would use.
They might go 3 innings.
The closer, but right, exactly. They might be getting 6 or 9 outs. The definable closer role really didn't start until like Dennis Eckersley kind of ran with that torch, and then it became a singular position for a singular inning for a singular purpose. And then, of course, you got guys like Mariano Rivera and Trevor Hoffman and Lee Smith, who just, like, ran away with save counts. But like for a bulk of baseball, closer was not really a role. I mean, you figure 100 years of baseball and closer wasn't a thing. It's really only a 40-year window you're thinking about.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know your thoughts in the chat on who you think is going to make the top 3. Now, this number 3 guy is going to surprise you. It's none other than not Craig Kimbrell.
Don't do that. Don't do that to us.
I couldn't leave that for long because I knew you were going to put the graphic up. Because our real number 3 guy is Brad Lynch, who played 4 years with the Phillies, had 214 appearances, a 3.11 record, a 3.73 ERA. He pitched for 193 innings. He had 100 saves, a 1.430 whip. It's Mr. 48 for 48 himself in save opportunities. 4th in Cy Young voting in 2008 and 48 for 48, including the postseason. That's probably partly the most important factor as to why Brad Lynch is in the top 3, because your role is to come in high leverage moments, clutch moments, game on the line, season on the line, and deliver. And Brad Lynch, and the iconic moment that we think back to in 2008, we all remember it. It lands you here because when you have a moment like that to literally bring a title to the city, you deserve to be in the number 3 spot. He went 2-0 with a 1.95 ERA and 41 saves in that regular season back in 2008, posting a 96 ERA and 7 saves in the postseason. He stepped up when it mattered most. Injuries aside, everything else aside, Brad Lynch, numero 3.
Yeah, that means number 3 for you non-Spanish speakers. I know that because I'm well-versed in many languages. Look, there's not many championships.
You can hardly speak English properly.
Literally.
There's not many titles in Philadelphia, I fully believe there's no title in 2008 if it's not for Brad Lynch. He dealt with injuries those 3 years, and his career was a pretty great one, but it did roller coaster. Good year, bad year, good year, bad year. Unfortunately, 2009, Brad Lynch was very bad. A little bit of a rebound in 2010, 2011. We'd all like to forget about that year. The final 3 years here wasn't the best, but I think the one was so good that it catapults you into the top 3. And there's no more iconic image to me as a Phillies fan in my lifetime than Brad Lynch dropping to his knees at the mound and Chooch and Ryan Howard and everybody piling on top. So Brad Lynch he gave you a lot of heart palpitations that year, a lot of men on third, but all that matters at the end of the day, he went 48 for 48 and didn't cost you, and he was spectacular that year. Yeah,
there are a lot of great names that come to mind when you think of, all-time greats for Phillies. Ron Reed, Ryan Madsen, Turk Farrell, Jim Constanti, butchered that. But listen, number 2 is none other than a guy that's joined us here on the show.
A friend of the program.
A friend of ours.
Sure, we'll call him
that. John, as he goes by, as he told us. Papelbon, that number 2 for his 4 years with the Phillies, 234 appearances. Not only does Papelbon give you great personality and stories, he also gives you a 14-11 record, a 2.31 ERA, 237 2/3 innings pitched, 1.23 for his saves, a 1.022 whip with 252 strikeouts, and the franchise leader in saves. I bet y'all didn't remember that key factor. That's a big nugget, along with a two-time All-Star. Pat being the franchise's all-time saves leader. That is I feel like for each guy, there was one little factor that really put them over. Championships is a big one. But being an all-time saves leader, Papelbon was a man that really, really was fine stepping up to, adversity, tough situations. Criticism didn't matter. You always knew he was going to deliver. 123 saves in his time here. It's incredible, too.
Yeah, I mean, his ERA plus during those, 4 years or 3 years was a 167.
Yeah.
He was filthy here with the Phillies. His whip was great. His ERA was great. He's a franchise leader. Look, is he a little rough around the edges? Yep. Certainly is. I think he himself even said, yeah, I know I'm not going to be invited back for much. But when we spoke with him, really enjoyed his time here, oddly enough. He was a really freaking good closer. He was just, he grabbed his crotch and he Wasn't people's favorites, but if you're just looking at performance on the field, Jonathan Papelbon was great here.
Seth is saying in the chat, the crotch grab's greater than the World Series vintage Philly. And then Randy is mentioning to be the all-time save leader for only being here 4 years is wild. And it definitely shows the need that this team is very closer starved. Tyler, you want to talk anything about our guy Pap?
So I think, I mean, the numbers are pretty substantial, and I think that, to a fact that I almost undervalued him. Like the running fact that is that he's the all-time saves leader, but the 2.31 ERA over the course of three and a half seasons is pretty significant. And I know a lot of people say, oh, those are kind of forgettable years as they were trending downward, right? Yes. And 11 was the last year that they had made the playoffs, and they were really, by the time they had traded him, they were really in a rebuild mode. But I think that you can't not include the franchise's all-time save leader in a closer conversation. Yeah. Like in a 1 year sample size, I would take the year of Lynch, the year of Bedrosian, the year of the guy who's coming up at number 1. Like all of those guys have 1 year definable career traits. Lynch is 48 for 48. Bedrosian won the Cy Young. 1980 was huge for our number 1 guy. But in a full 10-year sample size, Jonathan Papelbon was really freaking good here.
Yeah. I know you guys, who he is as a person may not be a fan favorite. Definitely has some stories.
And I know people listen. The comments are
made him a great closer.
He's a heel. He's a punk. Yeah. Can't take him over. Over Lynch. Blah blah blah. And I get it. He's the character questions are real. I get it. I understand it.
The guy at number 1, I think, cancels out any character concerns.
Well, that's also why I feel like as a closer, there's got to be. It's like a goalie in soccer. There's certain roles and positions in sports that you have to have some level of almost insanity to be able to deal with the pressure that comes with that. Yeah. And you know what? You gotta believe our number 1 guy's not going to be a surprise to some. Tug McGraw sitting at number 1. Tug McGraw, who was with the Phillies for 10 years, 463 appearances, a 49-37 record, a 3.10 ERA, 722 innings pitched, 94 saves with a 1.198 WHIP and 491 strikeouts. 5th in Cy Young voting. 5 times he was for 5 times. In 1980, he had a sub-3 ERA. That 1980 championship.
That graphic's backwards. He received 5th place votes in 1980. 5 times he had a sub-3 ERA.
In 1980, he had a 1.
That graphic is backwards.
He had a 1.46 ERA in 1980. He was filthy that year.
So Tug McGraw, yes, when you talk about that 1.46 ERA, 20 saves in 92 and 1/3 innings in 1980, also a year of a championship. Championships put you on the list. And yes, fit for the NL Cy Young Award in that time too. But Tug McGraw, number 1 guy for overall top best. The combination of he was talented, he was a great personality, super lovable. I don't know if there's many bad things we can say about Tug McGraw.
Yeah, I think he had the you gotta believe thing with the Mets before he got here, but brought it with him and it stuck. I mean, when you look at Baycare Complex, they have it on the wall down there. You got to believe. I mean, to me, Lynch was the most iconic memory, but Tug jumping up on the mound and winning the title in 80 is probably number 2. Funny how we really harp on championships here when they happen. But Tug was great. I didn't really get to see much of him pitch. I was a wee lad, but
me too.
You always hear the stories of Tug and what a personality and how great he was and how he was a big part of the culture with Hall of Famers all over that roster. That stuff matters, and he's absolutely beloved in Philadelphia Phillies lore, and the Tugger gets number 1.
Yeah.
Longevity plays a big part in that, too.
This is our first list. I know Provolone and John saying nobody from the 1920s made the list. This is our first time we actually have a list of guys that are all in the last, 40, 50 years.
Yeah. Jim Constanti won an MVP.
Yeah.
Steve Bedrosian won a Cy Young. Those guys were very deserving of our thought. Ryan Madsen is an underrated, sneaky guy.
Yeah,
and of course you have Ron Reed. That number 3 spot was tough, but I think ultimately what tipped the scales was
Turk,
titles.
Steve. Yeah, that's it. This is a big club that we don't have a lot of titles to talk about, and so when you have somebody that was a part of solidifying and closing out those World Series in 80 and 2008, that launches you up on the list for sure. Hopefully we're talking about more championships, and hopefully we're even getting to a point where we can get some more recent guys on these lists for top all time. I know we talked about Bryce Harper. Like, we want to see more Phillies that are in the mix for being, best all time with the Phillies in their respective positions. So that being said, guys, now that we have completed the hour of our show, we are an hour closer to opening day. That's right. We are 1 hour closer. We're going to continue to watch as we get the updates on the team the next couple of days, because we'll have more news for you around our plans for opening day. We'll have more updates as we, follow the team, and of course, even on Shohei Ohtani that we'll be able to talk through. So thank you guys so much for taking time to tune in with us here, because it's been a fun one. It's been great to kick off Monday with, the excitement of knowing we've got Phillies baseball happening this week. Meaningful games. Opening day is around the corner. And so for Neil, Provolone John, Darth Pooh, Greg, Christy, play-by-play with JJ. We appreciate you all. Hit that thumbs up.
By the way, the lineup today probably is going to be the opening day lineup, I would guess.
Oh, read for us.
It's a 12 o'clock start today, and it's stream on MLB.com. I would guess this is because they're doing it today, is the opening day lineup. Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Realmuto, Bohm, Stott, Castellanos, Merrifield in left, Marsh in center. If I had to guess, I would think Rojas and Pache are on the bench opening day, but just a guess. I don't think that's an accident on getaway day.
Oh, interesting.
So two-hit Witt could be starting left field on opening day.
Okay.
So just throwing that out there.
Interesting.
Today's lineup, it's live now, or in 3 minutes it's live.
Yeah, I was going to say, the game's getting started. I just got the update on my phone. It's game time. But yeah, that is interesting. I feel like Witt has really asserted himself to show that he's deserving.
Set a great spring. I just don't think you want to play him 5 or 6 days a week.
You don't, but I think for opening day,
yeah, whatever, it's fine.
It's fine. Of course, we also got the probable pitchers for the first 6 games. We know Zach and Aaron get things going, and then Ranger, Christopher Sanchez, and then back to Zach and Spencer Turnbull. So we're getting these details of, probable pitchers, probable starting lineup. So we're getting closer. We love you too. Play-by-play with JJ, Seth, Greg, everybody in the chat. Thanks so much for tuning in with us. We'll be back here live tomorrow, 11 a.m. again. We're 11 a.m. all week, except for Thursday, of course, when we have our fantastic day down at Bet Parks in South Philly, where you can join us. Pre-game show, watch party, post-game show, all happening right there. So let's go Phillies! We are days away. Tres Diaz, Jamie.
That's Spanish.
Thanks for tuning in to PHLY Phillies. Huh? Did you say Fritos?
I am hungry.
I'm hungry too, actually.
You got Fritos?
You want Fritos for lunch? That's not lunch. Okay. That being said, words with friends. Okay.
I said 3 days, but now I'm thinking about Fritos, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Happy to help.
Dog's paws always smell like Fritos. That's my Fritos take.
Ew.
You ever sniff your dog's paw?
No, I don't. No. I don't.
Okay, Tyler, when you get home today, take a whiff. Get that paw right up to your face and take a big hit, and it's going to smell like Fritos.
Okay. Wow.
Every time I smell of Fritos, I think of dog's feet. Is that weird?
Yeah.
Well,
actually,
they smell
so you feel
exactly
like you're eating dog's paws?
No, I don't. I'm telling you, they smell exactly alike. Doesn't matter the dog, the breed, whatever. Their feet smell like Fritos.
Well, we were doing good for time, and now we're going off the rails at the end.
No, it's just final thought.
All right, well, yeah, final thought. Okay, yeah.
It's not like, creepy. It's fact. Go sniff your dog's paws, John. I dare you.
Go sniff your dog's paws.
And then get a bag of Fritos and take another hit.
Let
and
us
you're going to be
know.
like, it's the same.
Oh, Kim said it's true. It's just as true
freaky.
as what the weather's going to be like on Thursday,
it's
probably.
Freaky. So,
probably the
Tyler,
accuracy's probably
text me
up
later
there.
when you sniff your dog's paws, all right?
Oh, my. All right. Well, I don't know that I'm hungry anymore, actually. But that being said, thanks for hanging with us, even in our final, we had to go off the rails a little bit at the end. Yeah. So why not?
It's opening week.
Happy Monday. Go sniff your dog's paws. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.